Morning, all you lovely, lovely people out there. Well, it's another thought for the day, and it's now Saturday here in the Philippines. Saturday before what we would call Easter Sunday. You know, a lot has been said about families and the closeness of families here in the Philippines, and events like the Holy Week at the moment, you tend to notice when you wander around how so many members of families have enlarged over the last few days. People have arrived from far-flung places. You notice the fancy cars out front, maybe the driver who's brought them there, or maybe a wealthy son. But nevertheless, there's an expansion of the family. And as you all know, that Filipinos are well known for family-orientated events and the feeling of unity between family members. For us foreigners, we are at the start creating families, not necessarily making them, but creating them in the sense that we then invite ourselves into what is a Filipino family. We become, in my case, I was referred to as Whitey. I thought that was funny, because everybody here buys different kinds of soap to try and make themselves whiter and white, like myself. Reminds me of a Tide detergent, trying to make the shirt whiter than white. But back to my thought for the day, as we also know, Filipinos can be extremely jealous, envious of other people, other family members even. And therefore, the dynamic of a family is often dependent on how the different members of the family see each other within that group. It's not always written in stone that brothers and sisters will get on. They will tolerate each other in many cases. They may even be fond of each other and show more preference to one than the other. But nevertheless, there's a bond that holds them together, and that is the family. But with us foreigners, that's a different story. You only have to look at places like Dumaguete as a good example. A large influx of foreigners to the area tends to change the dynamic of what goes on in the little communities that they create. Lots of guys get together and talk about their exploits, their wives, their girlfriends, the ones they haven't met, the ones they're going to meet. And some will even talk about their own existence with their current girlfriend. But nevertheless, there tends to be a certain atmosphere that goes around when men get together often and they start talking about or gossiping about things that they've discovered happen in their lives, and others put their point of view as well. And I suppose that's healthy conversation in some respects, but for the Filipino, they never really understand what the kind of Western gossip is all about. They don't realize that often it's all about ego. It's all about impression on others. I've got more money than you. I've got more cars than you. I've got a bigger house than you. And this tends to rub off on the minds of simple people who think about how lucky they are that they've just got a house that their boyfriend has built or bought for them to live in. Some are happy with a simple dwelling. Some are never happy. Some want to show all their family how lucky they were that they managed to snare that man with millions and millions of pesos, one who's maybe built them a beautiful home for her and her family, maybe her mother, her father, maybe all her children, and often they have many children. And it's great to see people with their generosity and understanding that families need to be close to each other for them to really survive here in the Philippines. And when a foreigner builds a home for her family as well, that elevates him in the eyes of not only his wife, but also the extended family, the sons, the daughters, the uncles, because they're awash with money that they would never have dreamed they were likely to see in their lifetime. And it's not about talking about people who have done those things. The generosity of many is out there to be seen. But it's to talk about the people who are never happy. They have all this money and they're never really happy. They brag about what they've done. They brag about what they've seen and done in life. And we're expected to be amazed and impressed, which in some cases we're maybe more surprised than others that so much can happen to one person. But when we do make friends with people like that, there's an element of beware, because sometimes they're rather superficial. A good gauge of a person is how many friends they have. How many friends do they really have that they can call friends? I'm not talking about shopkeepers who they every day they wave and say, "Hi guys." We're talking about friends that call around to their house. Friends that spend hours talking to them on the phone. Maybe just simply friends from past. Ask yourself, if you are friends with your friends, you've got something really valuable. You can't buy a friend. Friends just happen. You just click. You find that you've got something in common. And for us foreigners, when we find another foreigner who we feel that we can communicate on the same level, it's a great asset. It's somewhere where we can talk about normal things without having to explain ourselves to do it. People like myself, people like Ian, it's great to have a chat with him here and there. And it's always good to hear his point of view, because by doing so, it makes you stop and think, is that really the way it should be or not? You can talk about pensions, you can talk about life in general, and not be condemned because of your thoughts might differ from the others. It doesn't have to be a Trump versus Biden conversation. But sadly, there are people out there that, because they have no friends, they then try and, in a sense, steal away your friends. And that's sad that they feel the need to do that, when in actual fact, friends are for everybody. Friends are not just for one, they're for everyone. The friends I have, I'm quite happy to share with my friends, and vice versa. But some people out there do see ownership of individuals as almost like a right to have a friend of a friend. Does that sound confusing? Well, it does to me. I don't understand why people see the need to undermine friendships, trying to somehow show others in a different light or in a bad light. Why do they need to do that? There's enough gossip around in this world, and for Filipinos, gossip for the sake of gossiping is quite normal. But if you add into it the mix of he said this, she said that, from a foreigner's point of view, all you're doing is creating mischief and misunderstanding amongst your own Filipino group. After all, they don't understand the dynamics of your friendship either. They know, oh yes, he's a foreigner, he's friends with him, or he's friends with her. And you don't have to look very far. You see it in the drama of Dumagetti. Sure, it's calmed down a bit because I think people are just fed up of listening to all of that drama. Somebody asked me yesterday, tell me more about the guy. Well, sorry guys, I'm not going to waste my time telling tit-tats on other people. I don't need to name people. I don't need to talk in specifics. But I think if you know how life is here in the Philippines as a foreigner, you'd understand what I'm talking about. You can isolate yourself very easily by just simply not getting involved with other foreigners, not allowing yourself to become the center of conversation. Let them stew in their own stew. Let them work it all out for themselves. Don't tell them everything, because if you do, it's inevitably going to be twisted to fit their dynamic or their agenda. Just remember, whilst they sit there condemning you or saying you're not doing this right, oh, you shouldn't stay with him, he'll do this or he'll do that. Ask yourself, maybe they need to look at what they're doing. Are they buying love? Are they being fair? Are they being honest? Whilst they sit there condemning you, maybe they just don't want to admit they've got no friends either. Luckily, I've got plenty, and those that I have got I value very well, and a lot of them are Filipina and Filipino together, along with the many, many foreigners as well. And it's easy to spread rumors when you have nothing more in your life except the four walls of your little house. Whatever, who cares? You can have millions in the bank. Does that make you happy? It'll make your wife happy when you... But for how long? Who knows? Life is just full of joy and happiness, isn't it? And families will fight, families will squabble, and families will gossip. What we have to do is shrug it off. Let these little minds do what they need to do, and we just focus on what is our agenda and what is going to be our future, not theirs. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And come on guys, we have 2 channels, remember? This one and Grumpy Brett as well. So enjoy, and we'll see you later. Bye now.